Recently, I've had some conversations with some people regarding prophecies. In other words, how do you know if someone that gives you a prophecy is actually giving you a word of God? Welcome to Walking Through the Word for today. We're in John chapter 10, where Jesus gives one of his 7 I am statements. In this case, he says, I am the good shepherd. And in this case, time is the friend of those who follow God. We obviously have finite time, limited time, and we're not talking about that time. What we are talking about, though, is the amount of time that you spend with God. In this analogy here that Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, that he who does not enter by the door climbs in another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him, the gatekeeper opens. Why does the gatekeeper open? Because he recognizes the shepherd. He knows the shepherd. He has spent time with the shepherd. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. Why do the sheep go? Because they know his voice. They recognize his voice. They know that he is safe, because they have spent time with him. They have been cared for by him. Time is the friend of those who follow Jesus. Time is what allows us to be better discerning as to what the will of God is. So quickly we are wanting to jump in and rush into things. And in my youth, I confess that there have been many times when I have rushed into a circumstance or a situation or a judgment of something, and I should have let time pass. The longer that I've been in ministry, the older that I get, the more valuable I recognize that allowing some time to pass, allowing the dust to settle, if you will resolve and reveal the right path and the right situation. This is the same thing with God. If we spend a great deal amount of time with God in his word, praying with him, sojourning, walking with him. Remember when he says, walk with your children and train them up in the way that they should go. Don't forget, we are also children. And God desires to walk with us, to lay down with us, to train us up in the way that we should go. But that requires significant amounts of time. Far more time, I'm willing to bet, than any of us actually devote. We would be remiss if we were to not spend as much time as possible with God, and yet we are remiss. We do spend our time on other things that are not nearly as valuable. We say that we want to follow God, and yet our Bibles collect dust. We say that we want to follow God, and yet even if our Bibles don't collect dust, we spend, 10 minutes a day, maybe? There are very few of us that spend what we would confess as hours following and learning and soaking up what it is that God has. But I promise you, the more time that you spend with God, the more discerning you get, the more quick you are to recognize the voice of the shepherd, the more quick you are to obey the voice of the shepherd. The doubts fade away. The fears and the worries about whether you're making the right choice fade away. You no longer have to worry about what the decision is that needs to be made, because you are simply following the shepherd and you're following his voice. You're not worrying about what the path is, because the path has been laid before you by the voice of the shepherd. Time is the friend of followers of Christ, so long as you use that time in the proper way. If you are not using your time properly, the stranger will pull you away. If you are not using your time properly, you will get led astray. You will make the wrong decision and the wrong path. But there is a beautiful grace of God that also happens. The shepherd never stops calling. The shepherd will always call us, and we will always have opportunity to hear his voice and to get back on the correct path. This is the beauty of God, but it requires time. It requires a thing that we feel like we never have enough of. I never have enough time to do this. I never have time to do that. We need to be like Mary, to sit while we can and to listen to the Master, to hear the voice, to learn his voice, to know his voice, to know everything about him, so that we never have doubt, we never have worry. We are always in the security of knowing that we are following the Good Shepherd.